All right, it is 7:30 p.m. and I'm going to call to order the Town Manager Evaluation Subcommittee for April 29th, 2019. Roll call. Councilor Anest,
Here.
Councilor Donahue,
Here.
Councilor Nagel,
Here.
Mayor Del Buono.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum of everybody. Election for chairperson. I'll take nominations at this time.
I'd like to nominate Dave Nagel.
Second.
Any other nominations? Vote on nomination. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion is carried. Mr. Nagel, you are the chairperson. I turn the meeting over to you.
Okay, thank you, James. And thank you to IT also for all the hard work they've done to try to set up this meeting. It may seem simple to everybody, but as we all know who are here in attendance, it's not. It's a lot more complicated than it appears to be. With that, the next thing on our agenda is after election of chairman, discussion of process, form, etc. before we go into executive session. Today, just for so everybody has gotten it or will get it, a town manager evaluation performance form that was used last year, which I believe Councilor Anest was in charge of reviewing. Whatever you should have all received or will receive to determine whether we want to use this or needs any changes to it or not. I generally look through it, it looks fine, but that's one thing. Another thing everyone should have received is town manager's 3-month accomplishment report, which Mr. Chapman the other day voluntarily decided to give to Mayor Del Buono, and she passed that information on to us. And let's see, also we might very well want to have his resume to look over, even though we've done that before in another form, but for this group. With that, is there anything else that we need as just in a preparatory way before we go into executive session, or to plan what we're going to do from here?
Well, I know in the past, town manager evaluation has not gone into executive session. We've basically discussed the procedure, discussed the form we're going to use, because we're not discussing particular evaluation. And then the evaluations are then distributed. The form that we're using is then distributed to the council for the council to complete. And then the committee gets back after the chairman does his thing. And then we meet as an entire council in executive session. I think that's the way we should go. I don't think just the 4 of us or 3, the committee plus the mayor should be in an executive session discussing the town manager. I think it needs to be the entire council.
If I may, I previously was on this committee for a number of times, and that was not the case. So I just went by what I knew was past procedure. Does anyone have any other information about that on this board?
I don't remember having it in open session, but I can't speak to that. I didn't check past procedure from when I was on in terms of past minutes. But if we're going to be discussing accomplishments and how we wanted to handle the evaluation procedure, I thought in the past that had been done in an executive session.
I know it does fall under personnel.
When we start talking about the particulars, but I will tell you, when we've had the town manager eval, it's usually just the 3 counselors that are in attendance. We've never had any public, or we've never, if this is a little bit different because we're doing this on Zoom, but we've never had any public that has attended our notice meeting. So it's just the eval, and we discussed what format we want to do the evaluation. But any discussions about the particulars is usually the entire council. It's just not the eval committee. I think once we got the results back from everybody, I think the eval committee looked at them, looked at the numbering and everything. But the bulk of the discussion was the entire council. And I think this discussion should be the entire council and not just the eval. I think the eval is more, we're just the facilitators in getting this process moving forward.
I know that it does go to the council, and you're right, the council has the say in terms of discussion, but in terms of ways of to put this together in a very coordinated fashion that's organized for the council, I think that's part of our doing. I do remember going into executive sessions, though, just for the format or whatever, not necessarily discussing the good or the negative process. That was up to, we present what we present, and it is the council that makes that final decision once we have streamlined things so that they aren't rifling through tons of copies of different forms that all the councilors have filled out.
Right, we did a summary. I know Beth did it. We had to, kind of figure out people's penmanships. But we usually just did a sheet with the judging, with the numbering, and then whoever the chairman is then types up a summary of everybody's comments and kind of puts them in a format, and that's what gets distributed out to the council for discussion. Right,
that I agree. But I do think in terms of what needs to go in the form or any changes or whatever was discussed without the public being present at that time.
Well, as long as we're not discussing any particular performance or anything like that, that's fine. But I think any of those types of discussions should be the entire council.
Does anybody else have any other input on that? John, do you?
Sorry, trying to unmute. Not being involved last year, I really, don't have a good grasp of how we're supposed to do this. I was trying to just look back on my other machine to see if, if there were meeting minutes from last year, but I can't do both at the same time on my console computer.
I understand. Yes, Mayor W.
Just a thought. I'm not sure if the committee wants to at least meet an executive to look over the document that was provided to discuss accomplishments and how we want to share that information out with the rest of the council and procedure for that.
I think that's a good idea.
As long as we're not the three of us discussing the accomplishments, but how we're going to move it forward.
I don't quite know what you mean, Councilor.
Oh, what I mean is, I don't think any dialogue regarding the content of it should just be the 3 or 4 of us. I think it should be the entire council.
Oh, definitely. That's going to be an open document. It's not something that's going to be kept in secret, nor would I want it to be. I know it went to you originally, Mayor W, and I believe you agree with me, but I'll let you speak to that. Could you?
Sorry, I was having trouble unmuting. Yeah, I mean, at this point, if as the chair, it's your right to entertain a motion to go into executive. I can't do that because I'm a de facto member, but if someone wanted to move that, we can move into executive and discuss it further.
Okay, is there any objection to that? There is a resolution that the 3 of us, and I believe Mayor W has received. Is there someone who wishes to read it, or I'll read it if I'm not out of keeping? Anybody wish to read it? It's all right if I read it?
Hey,
yes.
Fine. Go ahead.
Okay, resolved that the Town Manager's Evaluation Subcommittee, in accordance with CGS number 1-206A, hereby moves to go into executive session to discuss a personnel issue, town manager's review.
Second.
Councilor Donahue. We want a roll call vote. Councilor Anist,
Yes.
Councilor Donahue,
Yes.
and Councilor Nagel, yes. And of course, Mayor Dobino is on this committee but does not have a vote. Thank you. Okay, now we need the process in terms of how to go into an executive meeting. If John is still there, perhaps he can help us.
All right, so everybody except for the current host, which is Mr. Boutot, we are going to leave this meeting. You received a previous email to go into the Zoom meeting, not the Zoom webinar. We're going to all log into there. I will assign the mayor as the host in that meeting, and then I will leave. At that time, you can all have your discussion. That meeting is not being recorded or accessible anywhere other than by the four of you, the 3 members and the ex officio member. So at this time, in the bottom right corner of your screen, you may click on Leave Webinar and access the email that was sent to you, and I will meet you in that room momentarily.
Mine says leave meeting.
Yes, correct. Yep, you're going to leave the meeting.
All right, coming out of executive session,
Where's-
I'm sorry,
Where's Beth?
Beth?
I'm here.
Oh, good. Okay, after coming out of executive session, before we do public participation, we probably should say that we will be sending out performance evaluation forms, the same ones that we used last year, to all members of the town council. We will send a separate one for self-evaluation to the town manager. And they will get them back to us, and we will be collecting them and together to present to the council and, on the, correct me if I'm wrong, on the 12th, our findings based upon the results of all those different forms. Is there anything I've forgotten from anyone else? Is that it? Carol, is that it?
You're good.
Okay. we're
Sounds
good.
right to me.
Okay, and Beth, we're fine? I know you don't
Sounds
vote.
good.
Yep, okay, good. With that, we will see if there's anybody on the line for public participation.
We do have one individual. They do have the option, I believe, to raise their hand, but we've been having issues with that. So with your permission, I'll unmute. If they'd like to speak, they can state that and go from there.
That's fine with me if it's fine with everyone else.
It's only Camillo.
Oh, how are you doing, Councilor Camillo? Do you have any comments to make?
He's still muted.
Yeah, I've attempted to unmute him. He was having problems yesterday as well.
Hmm,
He just texted me and said, I'm good. So I'm guessing that means he does not have a comment.
okay, good. Is there anyone else?
Nobody else in the queue for attendees.
Okay.
I'm fine.
If not, waiting, okay, if not, I will call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I need a
Second.
second. I have a second for Mr. Donahue. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. And we will be meeting again on the, as a committee on the 8th. Is that correct?
No, 12th.
The 12th, I'm sorry. Okay. At 6.
Yep.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you very much. And we will get the ball rolling here.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Okay, have a good night. Bye.
Good
Have a good
night.
night. Bye, everyone.